Welcome to another marvelous video. Today we'll be talking about a character who had a criminally short run in one issue of the Edge of Venomverse comic. If Deadpool, Doctor Octopus, and the Sasquatch had a morbid child, it would be named Octosquatchpool. Now that's quite a tongue twister. He was created by the supervillain named Mr. Hyde, who bestowed him with the powers of Marvel Jesus, Doc Ock, and the namesake of an ancient American folktale. Now let's explore the mashed up mutant's creation, powers, and story arc. Before we go into explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means an awful lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Who is Octosquatchpool? Who created him? Octosquatchpool, which is the nastiest sounding name, was created by mad scientist Mr. Hyde, aka Calvin Zabo. He was a morally corrupt biochemist and medical researcher who was obsessed with the effects of hormones on humans and how the varying intensifies of these hormones affected his subject's physiology. He also had a soft spot for the gothic novel The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This story inspired him greatly to the point where he firmly believed that his deadly experiment could be actualized in real life. Eventually, Calvin Zabo successfully created the Hyde formula, which was an intense hormonal serum that augmented a natural human physique to a near superhuman level. Zabo turned himself into his own lab rat and tested the serum, which transformed him into a monolith of a man. As Mr. Hyde, Zabo soon began his career as a supervillain, allying with the likes of the Cobra to confront Thor. He also fought Captain America and Falcon while teaming up with the Scorpion. It's safe to say that Mr. Hyde never shied away from fighting the big guns. Zabo's Earth 616 counterpart was notorious for fighting Roberto Reyes, who was the newest Ghost Rider at the time. He would encounter another version of Reyes' Ghost Rider in a different reality, but back to Zabo's crimes against nature, his creations just as an artist creates art. One of them is Octosquatchpool, who in appearance looks like he mashed together these three iconic characters in a hurry. Let's talk about the different components that make up Zabo's Frankenstein. In appearance, Octosquatchpool has the body of a Sasquatch, a character named Dr. Walter Langowski. He turned into a monster, which was a transformation triggered by overexposure to gamma radiation. He had previously opened the metaphysical green door, which accessed the below planes. Here, Walter bonded with a beast named Tanarak. This monster was just like the stuff of American folktales, namely the Sasquatch, aka Bigfoot. Octosquatchpool also had Dr. Ock's mechanical tentacles protruding from his back, and we're already familiar with the infamous Dr. Otto Octavius, who's known to be one of Spider-Man's greatest foes during his arc as an anti-hero. Doc Ock also worked towards becoming the superior Spider-Man, but in vain, of course. Finally, Octosquatchpool donned the iconic mask of our favorite merc with a mouth. He was shown to be as psychotic and sarcastic as ever. This incessant yapping was passed into Octosquatchpool, who invited his creator to taste his man's hugs of doom. Story arc of Octosquatchpool. The tentacled Yeti in a red mask, or simply Octosquatchpool, made his first and only appearance in the comic issue Edge of the Venomverse, Volume 1, Number 3. The story begins with Calvin Zabo at a S.H.I.E.L.D. prison base, which was gearing up for transfer to crazed scientists and prepare him for his upcoming trial. Zabo was guilty of everything under the sun, from mutagenic drugs to child experimentation through kitten vivisection. Naturally, Zabo also possessed incriminating knowledge and evidence about a few of the most villainous villains on the planet, all of whom wanted Zabo dead. They had to transfer him the old-fashioned way, but the minute the S.H.I.E.L.D. convoy set out, they were confronted by Forge. Soon after, they were attacked by the crime syndicate known as Magia, along with lab chimps with jetpacks and jilted vampires who were cheated during a game of cards. Finally, Octosquatchpool slammed into one of the convoy vehicles, roaring for Mr. Hyde to show his face. Zabo described his unnatural creation as another assassin with an extremely implausible backstory. So, just like the Deadpool we're familiar with, Octosquatchpool was a killer for hire, employed by Zabo's victims who were hungry for vengeance. But a mysterious figure joined the chaos. It looked like Ghost Rider, but something seemed different about him. As the strange Ghost Rider gobbled up the chimps with jetpacks, Zabo revealed that he had made a deal with Crossbones, who agreed to break him out of the convoy. Taking a closer look, Ghost Rider, who was Roberto Reyes, had bonded with a Venom symbiote, a forced transformation that waged war on his body. First, Roberto is taken over by a demonic spirit, turning him into Ghost Rider, but then the Venom symbiote bonds with him, creating the monstrosity known as Host Rider. Octosquatchpool and Host Rider were locked in a fierce battle until the latter managed to overpower the hybrid merc and chain him up. One of the heavily armored vehicles from the SHIELD convoy crashed into a tied-up Octosquatchpool and was tragically killed on impact. Now with his biggest nuisance taken care of, Host Rider is finally able to confront Zabo. The venomized Ghost Rider was aware of Zabo's deal with Crossbones. How, you may ask? Well, the answer came with a symbiotically charged Hell Charger who regurgitated Crossbones' half-eaten corpse. Even Calvin Mr. Hyde Zabo met his demise the moment Host Rider decided to devour his soul and put an end to his biological sadism. Powers of Octosquatchpool. As Octosquatchpool is an amalgamation of all the best qualities of the three characters, we can assume that he possesses powers and abilities borrowed from all three of them. Being an alternate reality version of Deadpool, Octosquatchpool was a deadly hand-to-hand combatant. We saw him sporting the Merc with a Mouth's signature katana and his twin Desert Eagle Mark pistols, which he pumped into Host Rider with zero effect. Zabo mentioned that Octosquatchpool was like any other assassin, and with this comes the ability of mercenary for a hire. This included skills of espionage, covert operations of infiltration, and marksmanship, among many different things. Also, keep in mind that Deadpool's most prominent attribute is his ability to regenerate, something that Octosquatchpool visibly did not have, considering the fact that he was KO'd by a SHIELD armored truck. But hey, to give credit where it's due, Octosquatchpool held his own pretty well against an enraged, venomized Ghost Rider. Being in his Sasquatch form, Octosquatchpool presumably possessed superhuman strength, although he wasn't as physically powerful as the other Gamma mutates. He was also meant to be superhumanly durable with a regenerative healing factor, a power that might have been skipped on for Octosquatchpool. As far as Walter Langowski went as the Sasquatch, he also had strong mental defenses set in place to protect him from attempted telepathic intrusions. He did this by throwing a potential intruder and shocking them with a wave of gamma-induced rage. The Hulk would be very proud. Lastly, Octosquatchpool was very lucky to be able to play around with Dr. Ock's cybernetic tentacles. For Doctor Octopus, we know that his prehensile tentacles are mind-controlled and powered electronically. These tentacles are made of titanium steel and are joined together by a stainless steel harness that goes below the wearer's upper chest and around their waist. At the end of each tentacle lies a pincer that can fully rotate 360 degrees. They are powered by highly efficient motors. Each tentacle and its pincer are made to be extremely durable in the case of intense combat. With these appendages comes technopathic tentacle manipulation. What this means is that the wielder of these tentacles can psychologically control them even if they have been chopped off and lie somewhere else in the distance. We've seen Doc Ock's tentacles in full glory, witnessing him scale the sides of buildings or using them as stilts hovering 10 feet off the ground. A cool fact about these cybernetic tentacles is that they can strike at a speed of 90 feet per second, which could knock out even the strongest of any bunch. Only an intelligent enough wielder could utilize these tentacles to their full potential. For some reason, Octosquatchpool seemed more focused on using his brute strength than cleverly using his titanium appendages. Perhaps it's the Sasquatch in him urging him to take a more animalistic path of dealing with things. Marvelous verdict. Just when you think you've seen everything, we get to see the lab rat child of the Yeti and Doctor Octopus of all people. Boy, did Mr. Hyde really do a number of this character, huh? It wouldn't be his most bizarre character, as we also cannot forget how eventful the summer of 2008 was for Mr. Hyde when he accidentally created zombie eggplant creatures zooming around on skateboards. Amongst all of Zabo's creations, do you think Octosquatchpool deserved a longer run, or at least a spot in the Deadpool Corps? If you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.